You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Hey y'all, today we have a special episode. You can almost call it or consider it a bonus show of the FMCA convention, as we did record this live while at the event. Darrell from Wacko Products joins us to discuss some of the new products that he has available. You may remember Darrell from 2 years ago when he joined us to chat about his RV AC silencer. We are going to touch more on that product, but we're also going to take a look at the importance of air filtration and how all air filters are not created equally. We also talk about what it means to be made in the USA and how important quality plastic production is when making parts built to last. Well, that's enough of me. Let's get Darrell on here and get this episode started. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Wheel podcast. Today we are joined with Darrell from Wacko Products, and if you remember back 2 years ago, we had Darrell on. He was here to talk about the RV AC silencer, and we wanted to invite him back on the show because it has been a couple minutes.
Yeah, right. It has been a little bit, yep.
We wanted to see what he was up to, what new products. We know that you've been working hard and you got some new products out, and we just want to kind of get an update from you of what you've been up to, how things are going, and where do you see the future of Wacko Products going?
Well, as in the last 2 years, we came up with some new models, or I should say new product lines to fit other air conditioner brands. Originally we started out with the Dometic.
Right.
Then we went to a Coleman. Then we adapted our Dometic to fit also GE. Now we actually have a complete new Furrion system out to fit the new Furrion since Lippert purchased them, or the assets over. It was probably a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
Sounds about right.
So about 2 years ago, Lippert kind of hit the market running, or Furrion did with Lippert, and we're starting to see more and more of those Furrions on top of the trailers and stuff like that, and rigs coming out through the production lines, and so we had to develop a product for that too.
Okay.
How long does it take for you to adapt what you already have for something new like that?
It just depends on the manufacturer. The nice thing is now I have the concept down. It's pretty easy now to adapt to something else, right? But the nice thing I got to tell you, and I give hands and credit to Furrion, they were easy to work with. They allowed me to come in, with their staff and develop the products and do testing with them, stuff like that. So that was an absolute fantastic experience. Normally you don't get that kind of warm response, but it was great. It was just right in Elkhart, only 6 hours from me coming Green Bay, Wisconsin, so 6.5 hours I was there. It worked out really well.
Oh, that's great.
So, I think when I did the Furrion, from saying that I'm going to do Furrion to actually having stuff molds made and in production and on the website, we were probably 6-8 months.
That's very quick. Yeah. It's nice, too, that a company allows, like an aftermarket manufacturer like you, to come in and actually work with them.
Yeah, it's a great experience. And I want to make sure that they were on board and they're happy with what I was doing also. Because I think that's important. It should be more of a partnership than I'm saying, hey, I'm taking sales from you, because I'm not. I'm actually helping them sell their air conditioners because I can solve a solution, or a problem that they have, and give them a solution. Whether it's an aftermarket side, or if they, maybe one day they'll adapt it. I don't know. I don't know what the future is. And I don't think they will either, right? With the economy the way it is right now, and things have changed a little bit, I think a lot of people are scaling back a little bit. And in our respect, we're growing. We're still a young company, right around 7 years old, and so we're growing and adapting and changing and developing new products. And that's why I really like coming to the FMCA shows and rallies, and any show. We're talking to the end users, the customers that they're getting in their hands. I get feedback from them. And that's where you come up with little tweaks, little changes, stuff like that to make the products better.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how valuable their feedback is to the vendors.
Absolutely.
And improving things for the future.
Absolutely. It's not too often you have a customer pick up a phone and say, hey, Darrell, can you change this for me once, whatever it is. But, to show, if I get 15 people that say the same thing, it might need to be done, so that's what it's all about, is adapting.
And you kind of touched on it. I was going to ask you, but you kind of alluded to the fact that it's not an OEM product with Furrion, even though you're with talks with them, even though they helped you design it. There's no immediate, you don't see it in immediate future that your product could be on their product right from the factory.
Yeah, it does come down to sometimes a cost factor too. If you look at it as any manufacturer on the RV line selling any products, whether it's air conditioners, furniture, or whatever it is, there is a cost factor involved. And, if they can sell 6,000, 10,000, 50,000 items without having the extra cost, I hate to say it, but why would they add cost if they don't have to? It's a value-added product. That's why their aftermarket sector is growing as what it is. And, all the vendors that are here wouldn't be here if every manufacturer put everything on it from the get-go.
That's true.
I always give the example as the automotive industry. When you went and bought a pickup truck 20 years ago, a lot of people went and added running boards. They went and added, bug shields. They went and added Bluetooth radios or adapters. Your bed liners, tonneau covers. And now 90% of that stuff gets factory installed. Okay? So there is not much less for the dealer to do. And unfortunately, it's adapting to the same thing to the RV market. You look at how many electric jacks dealers used to sell and install on a new trailer when they'd buy it. Now electric jack is a lot of times standard. Solar is now becoming standard.
Yes. Yep.
So you're really taking a lot of that income and service and pride away from the dealers at a dealer level too, because everything's going to be factory installed.
Has your business model changed much in the last 2 years?
Not really. My goal is still to make a quality product. We're 100% USA made.
Nice.
Okay. We do everything in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We actually are now adapting and hiring veterans, which I think is a key important thing to our growing of our company, because they enjoy going to work. They're very disciplined people. They want something to fill their time. So it's been really a good partnership there for us.
That's great.
Did you hear that, Kenny? Discipline.
Sean gets here before me every single morning.
There's somebody here that's disciplined.
And if you don't know, Sean is retired Air Force, for anybody listening. But you also have some new products. I know you're now doing filters that will replace the OEM filters, and your filters are a much higher quality. And could you talk a little bit about what the OEM filter is and how your filter differs from that?
Yeah, so it's typically, my OEM filters, I guess let's back this up just one little bit.
Sure.
So we build the RV AC silencer kits for ducted units. So ducted units with wall thermostats. There's basically, I call it 3 classifications of AC units out there. There's non-ducted, where the air goes in and out of the air conditioner only. There's no ductwork down that ceiling where the air can come out of. Ducted system is going to be where you have an air intake, like this here, the original OEM cover. Okay. This is for the Furrion right here, by the way. So we actually replaced this cover. So this would be for what our silencer kits fit. So we replaced this cover, with our device. So it's air intake, and then sometimes you can open and close they call it a cold air dump or quick cool. And then you have air distribution. So you have your supply side vents through the ceiling that air comes out of. That's called a ducted system. And then you have to have a wall thermostat. We can't have controls on it. Okay. And then you have what I call a fully ducted system. Your Integras, your Newmars, and stuff like that. Your higher end coaches where your air intake is ducted and your supply is ducted. So a lot of times you'll see little round vents up in the ceiling. Half of them might be with filters in it. The other half doesn't.
Oh, okay.
So and how I came to this category is I would have customers that had bought my silencers before. Let's say they had a travel trailer or a fifth wheel, and they upgraded to a Class A motorhome with a fully ducted system. And they asked me, Darrell, how come you don't have filters for these? Because right now all we have is the foam filters that come with it. And, they're not happy with the quality or what this really is, right? And it's not a filter. So finally the light came on in my head and said, you know what, I can do this. I have the machine, I have the equipment, I have everything. I just have to do it. So, again, going to shows and stuff like that, I start capturing some sizes. What do I need? What's the most popular thing asked for? And so we came up with a line, and actually now I got 14 different SKUs, different models and styles of filters, all the way from 5 1/4 rounds, which is one of our most popular ones, with or without the hole in the center, because there's some that have holes in the center for the pin to attach to it.
Okay.
I just came up with this in here. This is an old filter design, but it's actually a Winnebago Journey. You see there's 5 little holes in the center.
Yeah.
So Winnebago Journey, I think, had that model for what I can tell, 2 or 3 years. But there's nobody out there that makes a filter with the 5 little holes. So I do.
Okay.
This is becoming a popular one here. It's kind of an oblonged rectangle filter design, and you see this in the Jayco's. Integra's using it now, so it's really becoming a popular thing. So that's another filter design there.
That's also a ceiling duct, that rectangular one you just showed us?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that's big.
That's correct. Yep.
And before you go any further, for anybody listening that doesn't see the video here, I like to point out, like, when you pick up the OEM filter and it flops all over the place and it's like paper thin and doesn't really actually look like it would do anything compared to when you pick up yours and it stays firm and straight across. That's a huge difference right there alone.
Correct. Yes. Your traditional foam filters, there's no structural strength to it, right? There's no structure there, period. So with my filters, there's actually a honeycomb, or if you call it 3D dimension to it. If you look at the end grain, you can see that's got that, that 3D dimension there. That's what gives it the structure. And that structure is actually really important, not just for strength, but it's also for that way when air flows through it, it doesn't actually crush and block off airflow. That's what happens with a traditional foam one.
Gotcha.
So that's where you lose airflow and stuff like that with that, okay?
So even as this is getting
loaded with dirt
and the pressure from the air,
correct,
it's still allowing the airflow because it has structure to it.
That
makes
correct.
a lot of sense.
That is correct.
That's interesting.
Exactly. So you can have that filter fully loaded and have nice airflow yet, where foam you do not. Foam, this is good for about first 15 minutes, and after it gets a piece of dirt on it, it goes downhill from there.
Right.
And, if you notice that I got a hole cut in this filter, I actually built a device that actually tests all my filters, all filter materials out there. So I actually load it with dirt. I test it loaded, unloaded, how much dirt it holds, how much it goes through it, pass through it. I do all that. And I actually do it the same CFM that the air conditioners use. So we're 350 to 400 CFM of airflow. We do the same drive, same size motors, because I want exact conditions of what we're dealing with in RVs.
Okay.
And a lot of testing labs don't do that. They're using big drives and big blower motors. Well, that's not what we have in the RVs.
Right.
So we, try to get as close to reality as possible, and that's where you get the good results you should have, right?
Also looking at it, Darrell, so when I pick up your filter compared to the OEM, this filter looks like it's going to last a much longer time, and I would imagine because it has structure to it, it's going to be easier to clean than, say, this. If I would try to take a vacuum to the OEM one, I'd probably suck the whole thing up inside the vacuum.
Yeah, it's inside the bag, right? Yes. Yeah. So, what I say is you vacuum this once it's inside the bag. You wash it once, you throw it away. The foam filters are not a lifetime filter.
Okay.
You listen to anybody, we talk about tires. They age out.
Yep.
Same thing with this.
Okay.
And what people don't realize is, I don't know, just going to throw a number out there, 99% of the rigs out there now have LED lights in them.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
LED lights give off UV rays. That's why everything inside the rig starts yellowing.
Ah.
Okay? It's just like it being out in the sun.
Okay.
Okay?
I know that.
And that chews and deteriorates any kind of structure. And this is one of them, the foam.
Gotcha.
Also the ozone in the air. That affects tires too, same thing.
Right.
Any kind of petroleum product that affects that all. So yes, these are a dated material. And whether it's brand new on the shelf or you're using it, 3 months you toss it. And that's not always the case what people do. I talk to many people and say, oh, I've had my rig for 6 years, we have filters. So I have to kindly say you might want to go back and check before we even talk any further.
Because you might not anymore.
Right. They can be sucked up inside. They can be completely deteriorated and gone. You don't know what happened to them in the meantime, right? Or maybe never were installed. Maybe they're right. They never had filters.
Yeah.
Don't know. Especially if it's a second-hand rig.
Yeah, or a tear or a rip.
Absolutely.
In it. Yeah, just
absolutely.
ruins the ability.
And you're talking about, just looking at the filter, how it's just hanging here. And that's right. Structural strength is important because what happens is just because it's hanging here, it also means it'll do the same thing in a duct where it gets sucked up inside. And that's also what happens with the original OEMs. You can see what happens even here.
Yeah.
See how it gets pulled up inside.
Crinkled and.
So I'm a firm believer that all the air should go through the filter, not around it. Why have an air filter if air can go around it? So that structural strength is huge. And yes, to go back to your original point, yes, they're easily cleaned. You can vacuum them right in place. They are not going to come 100% clean, but you want to do is pull that cake off it, I call it. They're going to still look like they got a little dirt on it because you're going to have coloring from the dirt. It's not hurting anything. These are the true electrostatic filters, okay? Or you can take them down, wash them in soap and water, let them air dry, and reinstall.
The other nice thing I see about your filters is that they're blue instead of gray, and gray is the color of the crap that goes up.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
you can see the buildup in your blue filters.
Correct. Yep. And you can definitely see that a little easier, which helps for a visual. Absolutely. The most important thing of this is what and people ask me, how long did it last? I say they're a lifetime filter, and there's no reason why you can't get 20 years out of that filter.
Yeah, I've had your filters and your RV AC silencer in my RV for 2 years. I have washed it and cleaned it out both ways. Sometimes I just take a vacuum to it, and if I feel like maybe I'm in Arizona and it's incredibly dusty, sometimes I'll pull the thing down and actually rinse it, let it dry out. So I've done both ways. Both ways are incredibly easy.
Right.
and I'm still 2 years in with my original filter that I got from you at the last FMCA show here in Tucson, Arizona.
Right, exactly. So, anything you can make maintenance easier and more convenient for somebody, they're actually having a prone to probably do it.
Yeah.
And, there's nothing in these rigs that's oversized. Now, some people say the price tag is, but, that's a whole other subject. But, so your AC has to work really hard to do the job that it's designed to do.
Right.
So we need to give it the efficiency and the airflow that it deserves so it can do its job. If it can't, it's just not going to give you, you're not going to be happy with the performance. Mm-hmm. And airflow is a major thing.
And you mentioned earlier the UV and ozone stuff, and I think there's something in your covers that protect it from yellowing in that UV.
That is correct. So the cover that's exposed, let's open up the box here, let's take a peek here once.
And for anybody listening, I'll have plenty of photos in the show notes. You can always refer back to the show notes to see all these items that we're talking about as well.
So the white cover, this is the part that's exposed that covers everything up when we're done. So it is white, exactly. And we do actually use what we call virgin plastic. So there's no fillers in the plastic, stuff like that. I can drop this on the ground, it's still going to be in one piece. Okay, and that's something that I learned myself when I went to start doing the plastic injection molding and stuff like that. He said, how much fillers do you want in your plastic? I said, why do I want fillers? Well, it's a cost factor.
Yeah.
And do you want it to last 2 years or do you want it to last 20 years? Well, I said, I prefer the 20-year method. Well, then you don't want any fillers because that it's what happens. Things start breaking, gets brittle because you have inadequate structure there.
Gotcha.
But yes, I put a UV protectant in my white so it stays white for a long time, and I think that's important. And another question I get all the time, let's say all the time, once in a while, they have blackout edition coaches out there on RVs now, right? Where everything is no longer white, it's black inside. And they said, how come I don't make a black one? Well, unfortunately, it's only about 2% or maybe 1% of people have a blackout edition.
Yeah.
So I just not going to make a black system. But they can take this cover, wipe it down with alcohol, let it dry, and spray it with ABS black paint or whatever you get at the hardware store. So for $6, they can paint any color they want.
So it's paintable?
Yes, absolutely, because it is virgin plastic.
Okay.
I got people that airbrush them. One guy airbrushed a wood grain finish on it.
Nice.
One guy did a Harley local on it. Once you own it, you can do what you like with it.
Yeah, I'll say after 2 years, mine still looks brand new. I've never thought about painting it, but my coach is kind of light in color, and I don't really tend to walk around looking up.
Okay. You're not sleeping on the floor yet, then. That's a good thing. That's a good thing, And, going back to the filters here, and this is one thing that's really unique about my RV AC silencer design is I actually put these filters on a frame and they're screwed into place.
Yep.
And I think, that, again, we talked about that earlier, how important it is for me to see air go through the filter, not around it. Mm-hmm. And having that physical attachment, I think, is a huge advantage.
It's nice that you take that extra step, actually, to do that, because I'm sure this is probably a lot.
It's very labor intensive actually to build that filter.
Yeah,
it really
I would
is.
imagine it is.
It really is. And and actually I price it relatively inexpensive. It's $35 for a spare filter.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Typically when you have a Dometic AC unit or even here where these grills break and the filter, you're looking at anyways $35 to $40 to replace that. And you might get a year out of it, out of the grill itself. The filter, again, every 3 months you throw it away. So when you look at the cost of my AC silencer kits at $209 and you have a $35 filter in there and it lasts a lifetime, the product does pay for itself just in filter replacement. So there is an ROI, okay? Now, do people keep the rigs for 6 years? Some do, some don't. But you're going to make your air conditioner a lot more efficient. You're actually going to maximize the efficiency of that air conditioner. Okay, it's going to draw less amps. Because it's not working as hard. It's going to cool properly. You can get the airflow properly. One of the comments that I get on my silencers is customers come back to me, Darrell, I don't understand this. And it's usually in the southern states, not in Arizona here, because there's no humidity in the air per se. But explain to me what happens here. I used to keep my thermostat set at 70 degrees, and I'd be kind of warm and stuffy in the coach. Now I keep it at 73 and 74, and we're cold in the RV. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means we're actually pulling all the humidity out of the air.
Right.
And that's one of the hard factors or hard things to do for an air conditioner is pull humidity out. But it has to go past step 1 before it can get to step 2, reduce the temperature. So that just tells you how much more efficient we actually make that air conditioner.
Yeah, that's great.
Is all of your pricing like the 209 that you said?
Correct.
Regardless of the brand of unit you have?
That is correct.
Oh, okay.
All our science fits 209. We keep it simple.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
And same thing to replacement filters are $35 replacement filters. And I shouldn't say replacements. Actually, I call it more of a spare filter. Why do I call it a spare filter?
Because you shouldn't have to replace it.
Shouldn't have to replace it. Exactly right. But there are people that have allergies. And there's those 3 weeks of the year where they might want to wash them every day or every other day. Go right ahead and do that. Have a spare filter on the shelf that's dry, ready to go, and just do a swap.
Oh,
you do not want to use any filter wet. A wet filter is useless.
Okay. And going back to these, what size were these?
Those are 5 1/4 inch.
And
round.
these are for a fully ducted. So
That
when
is
somebody's
correct.
looking at, if somebody is walking around looking up
Yes.
in their coach and they see all these holes, and they might be thinking, I need one of these for every single one of those holes?
Sometimes they think that, which
Okay.
is not the correct answer, right? Because
Right.
we have an air intake side and we have a supply side. And you say, well, what's the difference? Air intake, the air is actually sucking up into the ceiling. Supply side air is coming, your conditioned air is coming out of it. So that should be cold air coming out. We only do the air intake side, the suction side.
Okay.
Right? You don't want filters on your supply side.
Is the easiest way for them to figure out maybe a piece of paper or something?
You can do that too. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
And
Yep.
see which ones are pulling in and
Sure.
which ones are blowing out. And then once they know how many are pulling in, that's how many filters they
That's
need.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
Yeah, that is correct. We go a lot even now with the Newmar. Newmar has beautiful ceilings inside their coaches, and some of these other coaches do too. But you get the wood panels, you pull them down, you access your filters behind there. And Newmar in particular has 3 of this size filter behind each wood panel. So it's basically 3 filters per air conditioner, which is good because it does give them enough volume of air, which is a wonderful design. The problem is they're using this filter up in there yet still, okay? And they're having it attached to a Velcro. Unfortunately, when you open those wood panels up, you'll find sometimes that these are laying on top of the wood panel, no longer attached anymore. So what I've done is I cut that size filter and I put a Velcro on it so it actually attaches and stays in place.
Is that Velcro?
Yes.
I didn't notice that. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Again, probably something that you don't necessarily need to do, but you take the extra step
Correct.
to do it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great.
Again, because if that filter's laying on top of that wood panel, not attached where it should be, why have a filter? Doesn't do any good.
So is this based off of customer feedback?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's great that you actually listen to the consumer. Well, you listen and then actually make changes to it. You're not just, okay, that's great. And
Absolutely.
then send them away, but you actually make the changes to it.
I don't know how many RVs you own. I only own one, and
Yeah,
that's
same.
plenty for me. So really, my R&D and my development comes from my customers, and their feedback.
Yeah.
And because you go to again FMCA rally here, I'm probably talking to 40 different models of rigs out there, even more than that. And so my ears are always listening to that, and I'm making notes and and say what my next product's going to be, or what size filters to build, or whatnot. So.
And your instructions are still easy to follow. Anybody that purchases one, they take it home. They're installing it themselves. They're not going out to an installer, or you don't have an installer going out and putting them in. It's something that almost anybody can do themselves.
Yeah, it's a do-it-yourself project on the silencer kits. There's some people that just, they can't raise their arms up. They have it, or maybe have vertigo. There's some challenges there, and of course, they can contact a mobile tech. Is a good way to go, because they come up to your rig, fix it, take care of it, install it, and they're on their way. Yes, and there are dealers out there that stock my product also. We are through distributors also, so there is avenues there. If you're at a Camping World or whatever, ask for it, and they'll get it installed for you too. So there's many channels you can get my product besides just directly through me.
Okay.
But I think prefer people still like to buy through my channel. It's right online, but it's up to you.
Okay.
So can people find those locations through your website?
Unfortunately, I do not have all the dealer locations because they are through distributors, so it's a second step.
Oh, okay.
And so that means I have to get a list from them, and it's always updating, so it really becomes a challenge. What I don't want to do is list somebody on there, and then the customer goes there and they expect it to be in stock, and they don't have it.
Gotcha.
So I try not to encourage that behavior, if you want to call it, the buy, shop now, pick up now type thing. So you do need to call and see if they do have it, at your local dealer.
But if people go to your website, they can order directly from you, and it probably ships pretty fast since it's all U.S.-based stuff.
Yeah, you can come on our website. All our products are listed there. We do try to ship out the next day. So there's no reason why you can't get it. If you ship it UPS, pretty much within 3-4 days anywhere, you can also get it through USPS too. So if you just have a post office box, you can do that also. Okay. And that's one nice thing, you can choose your shipping method, and my 209, I do charge for freight. Okay, it's not free freight, but that's the reason why I do this. You can choose your shipping method.
Okay.
If I did free freight, everybody would be getting it one way.
Right.
And it might not work for you. So I think, again, choice is key.
Yeah, and with RVers, lots of different methods of getting your mail.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
having choice is nice in this community for sure.
Absolutely. And you can do next day air if you want to. Again, you can choose your shipping method.
For anybody listening, what is your website?
My website is wackoproducts.com. So it makes it easy.
Okay.
And if people are confused about what exactly type they need or what filters they need, can they call and ask questions?
Yeah, absolutely. They can give me a call. But I tell you, the best thing to do is actually send me a picture of what your inside sealing assembly looks like. That's this part right here. What your inside of the rig looks like, because that's what matters to me. So you can actually send me a picture at info@wackoproducts.com, and I'll get that image, and I can respond back to that. It's sometimes easier for me to see what's going on and somebody try to explain to me what they have. And the next question I get too, and you brought up a good segue for me here, is I really don't care what's on the roof, believe it or not. I care what I'm adapting to, and that's what's in the inside. So you could have a Furrion interior mount and have a Dometic air conditioner on the roof. You're going to buy a Furrion kit from me, because it's what we're adapting to. Okay, and that's where some people say, well, I have a model XYZ air conditioner. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. It's the sealing assembly that we're adapting that matters. The model on the air conditioner doesn't do me any good, because all the other parts that you have that adapt the inside are completely separate from the air conditioner itself.
Is that common to see, where you have a separate, like a Coleman up top and a Furrion?
Yeah, you get
inside?
some older rigs, absolutely.
Really?
Example, Carrier used to make an air conditioner. So sometimes you see a Dometic air conditioner on the roof and it's still Carrier inside. You don't have to buy both components. Why spend the extra money if you don't have to? So yeah, you can have a split product line if you want to call it, yes. It's not real common, but we run into it. And then we have some customers out there that have the old Monaco coaches, 2004s all the way up to 2012, where Monaco did some things a little unique to Monaco. In other words, they didn't have this central sealing assembly. They actually had a wood trim with a metal grate. You pulled it down and you filters right there. We actually make a custom kit for those.
Oh, wow.
So we can do some adapting, but again, I need more pictures, I need sizes, and it is all custom. So your cost does go up, but we do have a solution for some of those other avenues also.
Again, another nice thing about being made in the U.S. is you can do that kind of stuff pretty easily.
Absolutely.
You can make changes.
We can make changes on the fly. We do our own. We have our own CNC laser, CO2 laser machine, so we do all our cutting right in house. A lot of the machines that we use is some of the machines I built myself and put together. Okay. I used to kind of Frankenstein things together until you get the concept proved, right?
Yeah.
Before you throw $50,000 at something, I want to make sure it works first. Get the concept. And then I have no problem spending the money and developing it and tweaking it again, making it more efficient and stuff like that. When you look at this filter, it looks like a very simple filter, but we got to cut out the ABS, we got to cut out the filter material, okay, and then we glue it together. So I actually have a robot machine that we set this in, and it applies the glue, so everyone's exact.
Nice.
And we have consistency from one filter to the other. That's one thing that's in manufacturing to me is important, is consistency. Whether you open up 1 box or 10 boxes, they're all the same.
Yeah, nice. Well, Darrell, I think that's all of our questions for you. Is there anything that we might have missed or that you want to add before we let you get back in there and get to work?
Well, I appreciate everything you do for the RVing communities. You do. I think it's great that with these podcasts and educating the staff or people out there. I think education's huge, and I'm a strong believer in getting to know your RV better. Okay, and that's one nice thing when people do contact me. I say, what? If you're willing to listen, I'm willing to teach. And I can either send videos out on how to do things. Even on my website, I have a full install video and how to repair the inside the ceiling assemblies and some of that stuff. And I think that a lot of RVers have no problem doing it. They just need some direction.
Right.
And, I give that free direction if you want to say it, right? And I think that makes that RVer a stronger person. So when they do have an issue with their RV, they can enjoy their weekend and not running out looking for a dealer or trying to find parts to try to repair things. And I think that's great. And education, I think, for everybody's huge.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming out here and educating us.
We try.
We want to thank Darrell for returning to the show to tell us about all the new products he has developed since he was on the show last. Kenny and I have both experienced the quietness of the AC when using the RV AC silencer. It definitely makes a difference. Check out Wacko Products to take a closer look at what they have to offer. We want to thank Battleborn Batteries for their support of the show. Use the link in the show notes to see all of the great products from Battleborn Batteries. Please join us in 2 weeks for another exciting episode, and until then, safe travels.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.